Rudy grading cards. Okay, I know he's not grading cards, but let's discuss.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, so big news I'm sure everyone has heard. Let me just read this for a little bit. Alpha Investments acquires 69%, yes, ownership in Premier Card Grading, PCG. Over the last 6 months, I have spent countless hours moving, setting up, and building the Florida location for Premier Card Grading for the United States. The reason I have bought into PCG is because I believe in the company and they grade accurately and fairly. Channel Fireball and Card Shop Live was unable to meet these standards and are no longer involved in any way with PCG. See, I'm glad he included that. These two companies are known to have underhanded tactics in terms of how they deal with the market. We saw this with Flesh and Blood. We still see it with other things. They don't care about any of their products. They are content to tank markets just to make their couple of dollars. 6 months, though, so before that, I guess over the last 6 months is just him setting up and building the Florida location. Interesting. I want to take Premier Card Grading, expand it, and go after PSA BGS. Okay, that is basically, he's going after the real contenders in the market. Although CGC is kind of around, but when you're talking Magic cards, you're talking BGS. When you're talking Pokemon, you're talking PSA. It doesn't surprise me that he named those two. PCG International has already graded over 50,000 cards. That's nothing worldwide. We need a grading company that has consistent, accurate grades. Yes, I have been saying this since the beginning. I actually try to push for the same thing for making a grading company. The problem is I couldn't raise enough capital behind me, I believe PCG can expand and compete with PSA BGS on a large scale. We have moved the grading facility to Florida for auditing and monitoring of the operation. Okay, so he wants to be very much eyes on. I know he's not hands on. The ability to connect with other YouTubers, local game stores, and create partnerships is going to be very important for the future of PCG. This is interesting. This is something that the other companies don't do. Him reaching out to other, card sphere influencers can have a huge effect on this whole thing. He could actually, he might make a dent. It might change things if he really pushes that. Rudy patrons will have access to discounted card grading rates. Rudy patrons who do box opening videos will have the option to get the top card graded after the video included with the shipment. That's cool. That's like a one-stop service, and I really like that. Rudy patrons who have stores will be able to send in large quantities at a special price. That's pretty cool, too. I want to partner directly with Flesh and Blood, Sorcery, MetaZoo for unique slabs. Honestly, in order for these third-level games to compete, they're going to have stuff like this pushing them. And Rudy is a major push behind some of these games. I do have a majority ownership in PCG USA, but I will not be, of course, I would not be grading your cards. Rudy will not be grading your cards. You cannot request Rudy to grade your cards. I wouldn't want Rudy to grade my cards. An owner should not be grading cards coming in. And honestly, if he starts grading his own cards, that's a fault too, which I doubt he's going to do. I heard somebody else say that that's what he's going to start grading his own cards. No. Because that would be a conflict of interest. And I hope he doesn't, because that wouldn't be good. We saw that with WADA and the whole video game thing. So, honestly, Rudy can walk a decent line here and make a difference, but he can also miss that big time. I trust him to be responsible with it, actually. Channel Fireball has no involvement with PCG. All slabs include premium metal engraved labels. This is a dig at PSA, but it's a direct competition with BGS. All slabs include subgrades. Don't let Rudy fool you. He knows how the grading market works. Despite all of his 9.5 quadruple 6.9, making fun of the card grades and how people talk about them, he is acutely aware with how it all works. This is why he has a big capital. All slabs include subgrades. Yeah, and the metal engraved labels, these were a big thing. I remember my brother made a point to me a while ago. I was talking to him about the difference between 8 and 8.5 and how my Destiny set is a minimum 8.5, and I had reasons. He's like, hey, 8 is a paper label, 8.5 is a silver label. It was a good point. He made a good point. And it's like just something that I overlooked. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. So you cannot request Rudy to grade your cards at the end. To kick things off, Rudy patrons get 20% off the entire order of standard card grading for September, up to 49 cards. It must be an active patron, and your name will be checked against the patron list. So to sum up, Rudy has taken a major step that I think a lot of people were looking at. I think this is a killer move. I myself wanted to go in this direction when I first started my channel, and before I actually started my channel, I was looking at this because why make money off the cards by buying and selling when you can make money off the cards by just taking the cards, grading them, and sending them back, and you're the one that's making money off of every one of those transactions. Like, that's a killer freaking app for this whole thing, but it's also the interesting thing is, like, it's a killer app to make tons of money, but it's also the killer app to help solidify and shore up the loosey-goosey grading market. I mean, look, I know some of my patrons, looking at you, Shadow Cloud, opened up some newer cards, sent them into Beckett, and they got back some altered freaking designation, and they weren't graded. So, if PCG can stay on top of their shit and grade honestly and accurately and knowledgeably, like, I know recently there was a Pokemon controversy where somebody filmed themselves cutting a card and then sending it in. I forget whether it's PSA or CGC Pokemon, but they graded it as like miscut. So it's like things like these that if you can improve, then it can make a real difference. I think the standard grading isn't standard, and it needs to be standardized. And I think he can help with that. I think he has more expertise and ingrained knowledge with TCGs, collectible card games, than any other grading company out there. All the other grading companies are sports cards first, everything else second. Just remember that. I like to think that Rudy is going to take PCG and make it trading card games first and sports and everything else second. So, I know I have a fancy title saying Rudy Grading Company, but it pretty much is, and I hope he applies his knowledge in a meaningful manner, and it actually has an effect on the market, because, again, it can really make some change. I'll just leave it at that, guys. I think it's a good thing. Remember to like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon, channel memberships, all the fun things. Otherwise, take care, everybody. Peace.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?